Snow's all gone. Grass is green.
The grass is green.
Yes.
That's good. So we are now on the YouTube. We have our own live channel. You want to see it?
Sure.
Sure. Here you are. Woo! What's going to be on the agenda today, Joe?
Big part?
I said, what is on the agenda to discuss today?
Well, the infrastructure bank that the Trudeau II government is putting into effect. Apparently, they want to have some sort of a relationship with the United States in that regard. I haven't read the details, but it's rather interesting that something dedicated to building infrastructure in Canada would be somehow rather linked into the United States. But then, I guess that's the direction we go in. Difficulty with the infrastructure bank is it's primarily existing not for the good of building infrastructure, but rather somehow or other to make the investors 7 to 9% interest. If the alternative that was practiced in Canada during the time that we never really built up a debt for the government as much as we have, was that the Bank of Canada would extend money, just plain money because it can make money.
Yeah.
But make money in the sense of making interest, but create money that can provide jobs for Canadians. So the argument that I have is that rather than an infrastructure bank building infrastructure of whatever nature it is, at 79% interest, that Canadians should be employed in improving our schools, roads, hospitals, things of that nature, at no expense to taxpayers. Or, well, I guess there is an expense because you have to hire people to let the money out, make sure the money comes back, and this sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing. I'm a conservative. I believe one should look to the past for things that worked well. The greater proportion of the current debt that we have in Canada is not based upon what was done for Canadians, but
I've got a different idea.
the interest that was paid continually for it.
I got a different idea. I like to nationalize the Bank of Canada part. Is sort of like the other part, but what we should do, instead of the government spending money on repairing anything necessarily, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's schools, whether it's hospitals, what if the national bank just prints the money to match productivity? That's what we did in the 1900s.
Well, today we really don't print that much money, do we?
No. And it's not good for growth.
A different kind of exchange. It's based upon computers. the greatest things that happened that threw things into disarray was the Dominion Bank system broke down. And therefore people could not get money out.
Yeah.
They could not transfer money. So what we're talking about then is the Bank of Canada putting money into circulation to create jobs, to do things that need to be done, but not really to print money, to have money put into circulation, and not at any interest. So there are those who would be quite unhappy because of this, because they have the money that normally they would loan banks, which, by the way, made $35 billion in profit.
Yeah, good profit.
Be somewhat left. But in any case, it's just one of the things. There is a group of people who've come together, including, interestingly, one fellow who was present when Trotsky was assassinated. Fellow's over 100 years old.
Jeez.
Which has nothing to do with this particularly, except to say that back at that point in time, governments did not run up the debts that we have today because the Bank of Canada was putting out the means of doing things, such as building the Sailor Seaway, for example.
Ah, yes. And our party is going to build the navigable waterway all across the country. Definitely.
Well, if it's possible, we might very well do so because it's a means of tying everything together.
That's correct. Shipping is very important to tie our provinces together. And agriculture systems. The waterway will increase agriculture productivity infinitely. We have a positive water pressure at Coronation Gulf that will fuel. Because the ice caps are melting. They're going to be gone in a couple of years. Why not use that water?
Well, one of the things about having a system that goes cross country, it then becomes a national Canadian controlled thing, rather than something that's controlled within the different provinces and territories. Because once something crosses a border, it then becomes under federal jurisdiction. And rather than having 10, 11, 12, or 13 different disputing groups of people, it becomes Canadian rather than Prince Edward Islandish or Albertanish or whatever.
Rivers connect people. The river will make us all Canadian, eh?
Well, I think it's something. It would be something. They have something on the television now of someone from, I'm not sure, it's one of the maritime provinces, selling everything they possess almost in a car going across the country, and the father and the mother and the two children, teenage children. So what they would be able to do is to take a trip by water from one side of Canada to the other. Actually, would be from sea to sea. I've always preferred Canada being 2 seas rather than 3, but then I'm an old fellow, you know, and
yeah,
I still like to say our home and native land, and all my sons command, and
God save
like
the Queen.
Now passé.
God save the Queen.
Yes.
Vive la France.
So that's it.
That's it. That's your daily digest, huh?